Good afternoon and welcome to Delaware Tech. I'm Dr. Lora Johnson. I'm the Vice President Campus Director here at the George campus. And with me today is Dr. Kathy Janvier, the Vice President and Campus Director of the Stanton campus. Also joining us today is our college president, Dr. Mark Brainard. I know this event is always one of his favorite events, and this year it has even more meaning to him as we recognize a fellow Delaware Tech alumnus. In the audience, we also have Delaware Tech Board of Trustee and a former honoree, Brigadier General Ernest Talbert, with us today. And I just would like to thank all the administrators, the faculty, and our many students that are joining us today. This is great. And we are proud to share that for more than 20 years, Delaware Technical Community College's Stanton and George campuses have been celebrating Black History Month by honoring a member of the community for his or her outstanding personal and professional achievements. The college selects individuals who have made significant contributions to the community and have made an impact on improving the quality of life throughout the state. Today, I am delighted to be here with all of you to recognize this year's honoree, Attorney Wali Rushdan II. To begin the celebration, I would like to acknowledge the elected and government officials with us today who took time out of their busy schedules to join us. We have Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long. We have our Chief Operating Officer of the city, Mayor Michael Pizzi. We have Senator Darius Brown. We have Newcastle County Executive Matt Meyer. We have State Representative Franklin Cook. And State Representative Melissa Minor Brown. We also have Wilmington City Council President Hanifa Shabazz. And just in time for his introduction as he walks down the aisle, Wilmington City Police Chief Robert Tracy. Thank you for joining us. And we have Deputy Chief Fire Marshal Gabrielle Pabon. Thank you for joining us. We're also pleased to have superintendents with us today, Dr. Jeffrey Menzer from the Colonial School District. And I don't see him, but I know he's here, so he may be standing in the back, Dr. Joseph Jones, Votex School District. He was also joining us. I also see that we have several previous honorees with us today. If I could ask you just to stand so that we could recognize you. I have a couple. Mr. Blunt, thank you. So thank you again for your time with us today. February is Black History Month, and from our earliest days, Black history has been American history, from soldiers to innovators to educators to scientists and more. Through the decades, African Americans have played a key role in every aspect of our history and our culture. But Black History Month shouldn't be treated as though it is only the compilation of the events most remembered. Although we highlight those in our classroom and community, we should also focus on the shared experiences that have and continue to shape and strengthen America every month of the year. Today, we cannot be more pleased to recognize Mr. Rushdan and his many contributions to the community and to all of us who live and work here in Delaware. We are so proud to honor you, Mr. Rushdan, today. As I said, he is a proud alumnus of Delaware Tech. He is committed to our community and committed to helping youth, and you'll hear more about that later. He's the founder of the Ebony Tie Affair Youth Symposium and represents juveniles as a guardian and family court and has received many distinguished honors in recognition of his many professional and civic commitments. We're so proud to have you with us today. Thank you. At the conclusion of today's program, we will add Mr. Rushdan's photo and bio to our Black History Month Wall of Honor to recognize his outstanding contributions to Delawareans. He will join past Black History Month honorees like Community advocates, Reverend Dr. Clifford Johnson, Dr. Lizelle DeLuce, and James Gilliam Sr., outstanding leaders in education and cultural community engagement, Maurice Pritchett, Will Robinson, and Ray Jones Avery, pioneers in civil rights, advocates for youth and education, and author Beatrice Beebe Coker, and Tuskegee Airman Littleton Mitchell. As I mentioned, Vice Commander of the Delaware Air National Guard, Brigadier General Ernest Talbert, and business leaders such as Stacy Mobley, Esquire Tyrone Jones, and Jocelyn Scott. And of course, former City of Wilmington mayors, the Honorable James Baker and the Honorable Dennis Williams, and former City of Wilmington Council President, the Honorable Ted Blunt, with us today. So we are delighted to have each of you here, and we hope you enjoy the program. At this time, special honors will be presented by the Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. Jeff Rose.
Thank you, Dr. Lora Johnson. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Jeff Rose, and I'm the Dean of Student Affairs here at the George campus. It's an honor and privilege to have Attorney Wali Rushdan II with us today. As you may have seen earlier on the screen behind me, he has been an important inspiration for many invitees at today's celebration. And as you will learn today, Mr. Rushdan has a tremendous respect for the community colleges such as Delaware Tech, and has been diligently supporting Delaware youth to help them access a quality education. For those of us who may not be acquainted with Mr. Rushdan, we would like to show you a short video which demonstrates his strongly held belief that everyone should have access to a quality education.
Our post-secondary education system is robust. You have all types of universities across the country that can meet students where they are in their particular life. And I think it's important that after you graduate from high school, you have some type of plan. Either you're going to enter the workforce, or you're going to further your skills so that you can be a worker in some type of advanced skill field. So for me, at my place where I was and graduated from high school, honestly, I was not ready for a four-year school. Okay. There were certain points in my personal development that I needed to go through, and I needed a university or academic setting that was going to accommodate me where I was at that time. Also financially, there was some real considerations there in terms of being able to afford a traditional four-year school. So for me, Del Tech was the perfect way for me to continue my momentum with my education and get that support that I needed at that time in my life.
Before we go, I do want to mention too that you are also on the board of the Delaware State Board of Education. Tell us a little bit about that transition. Congratulations, by the way, huge honor. But you've done so much with the youth. You're also serving with the advisory board of the Alumni Association for William Penn. So how have all these experiences helped you to where you're at now with the State Board of Education?
Well, things continue to build on each other, right? And all of those, I love how you sort of position this, because I don't think the role that I have on the state board would have been possible without this work. A lot of the work that I did with the youth over the years involved me being in the schools and meeting guidance counselors, meeting parents, meeting young people. And academic achievement is very, very near and dear to my heart. It's at the foundation of where I am in my career. And a lot of barriers to academic achievement are based on things that have nothing to do with what's going on in the classroom. So I came at education not from an educator's perspective, but from someone who values academic success but knows that there are different things that go into the calculus for what means academic success. Right. The reason I came here is because my home state had an abysmal education system in the in particular school district I was in. And my family had to make a difficult decision to move me and my brother here to Delaware. The whole family couldn't come because we couldn't afford it. But that sacrifice was made so that my brother and I could have access to a better education. And I don't want to get too sentimental about this, but for me, no family should have to separate in order to get a quality education. You should be able to get a quality education in your backyard. You should not have to move to a different state or across the state. Everywhere you go, if you live somewhere, you should be able to access that. So for me, being a part of that conversation, unpacking it and figuring out what role I can have in improving that and securing that for all of Delaware students, it was a no-brainer.
That was just a short segment of a Channel 22 WITN In Focus interview with Mr. Rushdan. The entire interview can be found on YouTube if you would like to see more. The next individuals on our program will offer recognitions and speak to Mr. Rushdan's significant contributions to our community. First, I would like to invite Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall-Long and Stacy Burton to the podium for remarks and a presentation.
Good afternoon. What a great afternoon, and to be with such a champion as we celebrate Black History Month here, and to our board and our president, Mark Brainard. Thank you to Del Tech and to the students who've joined us today. Nothing more important than recognizing African American contributions to our democracy, and that's a narrative that we're getting to celebrate today with Wali Rushdan. I can say that our governor regrets he's not here, but he has Stacy from his office, and we're going to be giving you, sir, a proclamation in a moment. But if you'd indulge me just for a couple moments with you, Wali, and your family that are present today. When we think about the narrative around African American in history, often things are left out. But what we know today, that when we come here together in this presence of such a champion in our community, we see in the living flesh individuals who are making change, and many of you have been previous award winners. And the thing about Wali that resonates to us is his background, starting with his roots. And as our dean and the leadership team here at Del Tech so eloquently put the video clip together, compliments of the Wilmington Channel 22, we actually got to see a sliver of what matters and that journey. And like Barack Obama talks about hope and your destiny, it is not written for us, it is written by us. And Wali, you are writing that narrative and are that role model, not only for children and our Department of Education, the board that you're serving on, but you are present. And we know you will continue to have great contributions in our state. And as we look at your resume, which is this long, for students who want to skip class and be here for an hour or two, you could, because his resume is literally that long. But when you look at your learning along the way, starting here at Del Tech, matching to the University of Delaware, going to Rutgers, taking and becoming that Marshall Brennan Fellow, and learning boots on the ground with Bonnie Wu from Senator Carper's office, who hired you as a caseworker, you took those skills, sir, and we just are privileged to honor you today. And no matter how many of us get up and speak, no matter what words we say, what print materials we leave behind, we want you to know we are under you and full support as you continue to change not only our community and our state, but our nation. And so we are so privileged to present to you a proclamation that has been prepared by the governor and myself, and wishing you, as you fulfill Mandela's vision, as I know you have done some training under the fellowship, of education being that key, the only thing that can change the world. And we know you're going to continue to do so. So at this time, Stacy Burton, who has a little bit of better eyes, is probably going to be able to read this portion, just a small amount. And sir, if you would like to join us, we would like to hand this to you. You can condense it if you like.
Okay.
All right. We'll have you come forward at this time. And again, our governor would certainly be here, but he has a travel conflict. So again, we wish you well. And Stacy, we'll put you in the middle. Put him in the middle.
I'm so honored and privileged to present you
Should I
with
flank
this.
you there? You in the
Sure,
middle, or- okay.
that's
All
fine.
right.
Figure it out.
On behalf of Governor Carney and Lieutenant Governor Hall-Long, we take great pleasure in recognizing you, Wali Rushdan II, on the occasion of Delaware Technical Community College's 2020 Black History Honoree event. Mr. Rushdan graduated from Delaware Tech in 2013. Since then, he has served for Senator Tom Carper and currently is an associate at Fox Rothschild. We applaud Mr. Rushdan for his long-standing commitment and unmatched generosity in supporting numerous organizations in Delaware. So thank you, for all that you do, all that you continue to do, and the wonderful role model that you're setting for so many.
Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you for being here.
I'll give it to you.
Wonderful.
All right. Congratulations.
Our next presentation will come from Senator Darius Brown, who I am now inviting to the podium at this time.
Good afternoon. It takes a personal privilege, as Wali knows, as we began our professional careers on the staffs of U.S. Senator Tom Carper and myself at that time, U.S. Senator Joe Biden, and we had many fun excursions together as Senate staffers. Muhammad Ali says that what you're thinking is what you're becoming. What you're thinking is what you're becoming. And Wali is someone that I've known for many years, and even back then as we shared time on different Senate staffs working on behalf of the constituents of this state, Wali always was thinking about how he could help others, not just as a student here at Del Tech, but absolutely at the University of Delaware and at Crimson and Cream. He was always thinking about how he could help others, and so many other community activities he was involved in helping others. Some years ago at my church, we had the honor of honoring Wali as an emerging leader. And I can say today we're not as young as we used to be, but you have absolutely emerged as one of the leaders in this state, not just in our legal profession or in education, but in more than all of that, it's important to have people that are selfless servants. And Wali is one that epitomizes that in every endeavor of his life. And he shares that with his wife and partner, Yolanda. Thanks for sticking in there. Okay, she's been doing the work too with him, and his dad and his brothers. They just have a great family that I've come to know over the years, and I count you as one of my closest friends and someone that I can always count on to be committed and consistent. And so for that, thank you so much and congratulations.
Next, I would like to invite Mayor Michael Pizzi to the podium for remarks and a presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I don't know how many of you, if the irony of these 12-year-olds talking about not being as young as they used to be. I mean, I may not get over that for another hour or two. I am, good night. I mean, not as young as we used to be. So I'm happy to be here to pay respects to a young man who's become a good friend over the years. Actually, I knew Yolanda long before I knew Wali, and it is when I got really respect for him when he said, "Here's who I'm marrying." I said, "Oh yeah, you hit the mother lode. Let me tell you, pal, you're married way up." But I'm so happy to be here in Del Tech is what I consider a city treasure. I know it's a state treasure, but here we are, this little annex, this place where so many lives are improved. Mark, you can be so proud. We're so proud of you, and I'm so happy to be here. So let me just, last time I was here, I kind of touched on this last time. We talked about the importance of Black history. It is so important. It is what is wrong with America that we think of Black history as a separate course. It's not a separate course. Black history is American history. And we have to celebrate it every day. We have, I'm so proud of what we did in our building, the city county building. We have, first of all, we've done our foyer all over. It's going to be beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But we have 20 big images on the walls of African Americans who've distinguished themselves over the years, some national, some local. And the two messages we have are, every month is Black History Month. It shouldn't be a little snapshot every year. Okay, well, forget those black folks. You know, so we're keeping it up there. We're keeping it up there. and we're so proud of it. And then the other thing, of course, is Black history is American history. And the sad thing about America, from my point of view, is that we don't learn enough of it. And it's pretty obvious when you see the national discourse about race, what you're convinced of is that that poor guy didn't get out of 6th grade, or they didn't teach him much. Because when these guys talk about what happened 150 years ago, I said, whoa, Mitch. You know, Mitch McConnell, we shouldn't talk about something that happened 150 years ago. And I'm thinking, you know, you old goat, you're older than I am, and I can remember some pretty ugly things that apparently you forgot. So, you know, Black history to me is just so critically important, especially when you're mayor of a city that's 58% African American. It's got to be top of mind all the time. So, so I guess the context, Wali, of our being here today is to impose upon you new responsibilities. And that is that, listen, Muhammad Ali nailed it, didn't he? I mean, what you're thinking is what you become. I mean, that's just beautiful. The other way to say it is you can't be it unless you can see it. And we have too many of our young kids who don't see it. They see all the wrong things. So, my friend, you got to get out there and be seen. You've got to just go be yourself. Let kids see you. Let your kids say, I want to be a lawyer. I can be a lawyer. I don't have to hang on a corner. I can be something special. Wally said, I didn't go to Yale. I didn't go to Harvard. I went to Del Tech, and look what happened to me. And that's what people have to see. So, my friend, we're very proud of you. I'm not going to go through the whole bio. I've got a tribute that says you're a great guy. And by the way, let me tell you something. Let me tell you this right now. You will not, listen, I'm telling you, just mark my words. Mark my words. You will not have this many people say this many nice things until you die. All the best. I've got this for you. Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite Tyrone Jones on behalf of Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Okay, everybody said all the good stuff about you. But I'm just going to say this because I'm not going to read the letter verbatim, but if our Congresswoman was here today, she would say to you, your steps were ordered. You had already been preordained to do great things. You just had to walk in it. And over the last 20 some odd years in which we've gotten to know and see your growth and development, you've taken those steps and you've walked in it. And you weren't afraid to walk in it. Our Congresswoman wasn't afraid to walk into the shoes in which she was called to be in. And you, my friend, are also one who's not afraid. You're not afraid because you do have good support. Family, Yolanda, who's also out there doing yeoman's work just as much as you are. But you're ordered, your steps have been ordered for this purpose. The recognition is for recognition for this moment in time, but it's also for what you're about to do. There's so many other things that you're about to do, whether it's with the State Department of Education, whether it's with the law firm that you're getting ready to create for yourself, with all the lawyers that you're mentoring and supporting. I already put that out there. I'm just going to let it be said. But that's the way we have to think. And when we're talking about history, it's not a history of a month. It's not a history of, time. It's 365 days, and that's what you've been doing. 365, you've been walking. So she wants to commend you, not just becoming who you are, but for taking the steps and providing that uniqueness about you to every arena in which you step in, for every hand you touch, for every voice that you're able to listen to and then give counsel back to. You're a unique individual who's going to do great things. So I encourage you to keep walking in those steps that have been ordered for you for this time and for the time to come. We have the letter here for you. Again, it'd be something that we could do to read, but it's us wanting to make sure that we touch with you in your heart and your mind to say, keep walking. Thank you.
Our next presentation will come from County Executive Matt Meyer, who I am inviting to the podium at this time.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here, first and foremost to honor Del Tech and the tremendous work that Del Tech does. As the mayor referenced, we do a lot of thinking about the tremendous work Del Tech does with individuals who come here and build futures here right within this building and of course in buildings across the state. We don't do enough thinking about the role that Del Tech plays in addressing historic injustice, the role that Del Tech plays in providing some degree of educational equity that really for generations, for most of the history of our county, our state, and our country hasn't really been there. So hats off to Del Tech for what you do every day and for standing up and doing this event every single year. Before I ran for office 4 years ago, I was a teacher, taught 6th and 7th grade math at Prestige Academy on the east side of Wilmington. It was a school primarily for African American boys. And the teachers would often talk there about how our kids, the students that we taught, didn't have enough role models. There weren't role models in their lives. There weren't people they were looking up to who were leading them the right way. Fortunately, today, we have one of those role models who not only is walking the walk, but he's serving as a model for kids really across our city, county, and state. Wali is not just someone who's one of these lawyers who is in it for himself. He served as the president of the Delaware Barristers Association. And there might be people here who served previously as president of that association, effectively the Association of Black Lawyers across the state of Delaware. When he did that, he transformed something called the Lewis Reading Gala, not only raising, I think, a good amount of money for the association, but also reminding all of us in the community, people who are lawyers, who are not lawyers, who were in the organization and far outside the organization, who Lewis Reading was. And I think it's apropos that you did that because in some degree you're walking in his footsteps. When I was a kid here in Wilmington, I was told, I'm not sure if it was true, but I was told that there was not a single black law partner. Of all the top private law firms here in Wilmington, there was not a single black law partner. Wali is part of a changing future, a changing present and a changing future, and he's leading the way for all of us to recognize that maybe tomorrow will be a little bit brighter than yesterday. So thanks so much, Wali. I wanted to take a minute and just read just small sections of this proclamation. It says, "Be hereby known to all that I, as county executive, recognize the contributions of Wali. We honor him as an alum of the great Delaware Technical Community College. And I, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the people of this county, do hereby proclaim today, February 25th, 2020, as Wali Rushdan Esquire Day in Newcastle County."
And now, Wilmington City Council President Hanifa Shabazz will come to the front at this time to offer remarks on behalf of Mr. Rushdan. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As one before I got into public service, I too was one who was instrumental in making sure that the community knew of the great culture of the African diaspora through my bookstore, the African Festival, and the Drumbeat newspaper. You know, but I want to congratulate and acknowledge the Delaware for ensuring that in this academic programming that you include recognizing individuals throughout the city who has made great impact to the quality of life of not just the African American community, but the city and the entire state as a whole. So I congratulate Del Tech for this continuous program. And to recognize this time, Brother Wali, I looked up your name, the definition of your name, and it meant governor of a province. And it fits you so well. You've created your own providence of who the young people that you reach out to. This WITN documentary on you actually gave a roadmap for young people who might be struggling on how to get to their goals. You spelled it out for them of how to get there, and your actions and your continued contributions in your community programming, mentoring young individuals, speaking, representing them through law, clearly is an example of how to get where you need to be, how to visualize it and be it, and living up to your name. So it's truly an honor to represent the City of Wilmington City Council and present this resolution to you and acknowledging you being recognized at this, on this prestigious occasion. I'd just like to read the therefore clause. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Wilmington that Wilmington City Council joins Delaware Technical Community College to salute and congratulate Wali W. Rushdan II, Esquire, for transforming long working hours, hard decisions, and sometimes worrisome moments into a career of dedicated, committed, and compassionate service to the young and those in need. We congratulate you, Wali, for this exemplary leadership and for being honored this prestigious recognition during Delaware Tech College's celebration of Black History Month. It's my honor to present this to you.
Bonnie Wu, who is representing Senator Tom Carper's office, will now come to the front at this time to offer remarks as well.
Well, it's not easy following a slew of elected officials and a preacher, so I will keep it short. But I remember when Wali first came in our office, gosh, probably about 10 years ago, way back when, Meyer. We hired him to join our staff, not only at the front desk, but then also as the driver of the 500,000-mile minivan and as a caseworker. And I think what really struck all of us in Carpertown is not just Wali's desire to better himself and the community, but his humility. You will never hear Wali use the word I or talk about what he's doing. It's about bettering our city and our state and our world. And I can't think of a better person to honor today. I'd also like to thank Del Tech for having this event each year. It's been a privilege coming here for quite a number of years now. And I'm just going to read a short blip out of the letter from the senator. Although you are still a young man, your service to the people of Delaware, which began with your work here in our office in Wilmington, continues in your current role with Fox Rothschild, is incredible. In between, you've helped me put a few miles on my minivan and have emerged as a leader in Delaware's legal community. I'm sure you serve as a mentor every day simply by the way you live your life. You are a legend here in Carpertown, and that is true. He has a picture up on our wall where all of us admire you greatly, not just for your accomplishments, but for your humility. Wali, congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. We wish you, Yolanda, and your growing family many blessings to come. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your heartfelt tributes, proclamations, and resolutions. Next on our agenda, we have Dr. Regan Hicks-Goldstein, who will speak on behalf of Mr. Rushdan. Many of you at Delaware Tech know her as the Dean. In the full version of the In Focus video we showed previously, Mr. Rushdan not only spoke highly of Delaware Tech, but referenced Dr. Hicks-Goldstein as one of the excellent educators here that provided him support during his educational journey. The Dean will now speak on Mr. Rushdan's behalf.
What a pleasure it is to be back. Well, good afternoon. First of all, students. We hold our students first. Nothing's changed, right? Administrators, faculty, staff, friends of the college, friends and family of our honoree, elected officials. It is with great pride and pleasure that I come to you today to speak on behalf of Wali. And I want to briefly speak based on Wali's own words. On October 13th, 2009, Wali wrote to me via Facebook Instant Messenger. He's scared now. I am in my first year at Rutgers Camden Law. It is a great challenge, but I am enjoying the opportunity to stretch myself intellectually. And then he said, pray for me, smiley face, smiley face. And I responded, I'm so proud of you. You will do great at Rutgers. You are a real success story. And make sure you get those papers in on time. Wink, wink, emoji, emoji. And on January 27th, 2020, 11 years later, I wrote, my dear Wali, someone just sent me a link to a TV interview, and you mentioned my name. I'm still in tears because I'm just so humbled and so proud of you. I have followed you from afar, and you make each and every day one that makes me proud and others proud to have touched you in so many lives. Fondly, Regan. And Wali responded, Regan, no longer Mrs. G, because he's old. Regan, your note brought a huge smile to my face. It is so great to hear from you. I am glad that you were able to hear about the interview and my specific nod of appreciation for all that you poured into me during the critical transitional period in my life. You believed in me more than I believed in me and knew that I was capable of much more than I was demonstrating. Thank you for being one of my champions. And at this point, it's difficult to read the small font on my phone because the tears are just rolling down my face. And he went on to say, as my remarks during the interview revealed, I hold your contributions to my personal and professional development as critical to my current achievements in both areas of my life. And at this point, I'm thinking, whoa, when did this kid learn to write like this? I remember him as a freshman in my English class. Well, Wali has had many champions, including family and friends and educators and mentors, because we all saw the potential in this incredible young man. His tenacity and grit and humility and desire to be successful was evident when he decided he had to transition from that cute little high school student who could charm his way out of any situation to a serious scholar. And remember those late papers and countless edits and lectures from me about getting your stuff together? Well, he did. He did. He listened to me. He listened to his other champions, but most of all, he listened to his inner voice that kept stressing his goals for greatness. As I witnessed Wali's educational and leadership journey at Delaware Tech, I can attest to the fact that it is one that can be modeled by many students who are not ready for a larger college or university, but needed the support and encouragement that an institution like Delaware Tech can provide. And Mark, I'm still a champion and an advocate for Delaware Tech. Wali, when I was the Dean of Student Affairs here, one of my favorite committees was the Black History Month selection of the Honoree Committee. Only those Delawareans who have left and are continuing to leave a positive community footprint are selected. Today, when your picture goes up on that prestigious honoree wall, you will be among some of the most influential individuals in the state. Remember his name, my friends, because you will be hearing amazing things about this young man for years to come. Wali, congratulations, and continue to press onward and upward as you are now one of those champions for others, like you said, influence your personal and professional life in so many ways. Continue to be great. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wali Rushdan II, Esquire.
Thank you. Thank you.
a little overwhelmed. You see, I spent 3 years in law school paying Rutgers a lot of money to teach me how to have a steely exterior in the midst of really difficult and emotional circumstances, to be able to articulate myself in a scholarly way under all manner of circumstances. But I find myself right now feeling like I'm going to lose that very expensive skill set that I invested in. I am deeply overwhelmed and overflowing with gratitude for this moment. When I look out and I see the faces of my champions, the people who I look up to, the people who I came up with, who know me better than most, it leaves me speechless. So I want to stick to the script and get through this. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Brainard and the leadership at Delaware Technical Community College, again, for creating this special event. I also want to acknowledge Dr. George, who was the president at the time. I was a student at Delaware Technical Community College. Also want to acknowledge Dr. Johnson, and I also want to acknowledge Dr. Janvier as well for your leadership of these two very important campuses in the Del Tech system, the ones that I availed myself of when I was a student. I also want to acknowledge the Board of Trustees as well, who steer the leadership of this great institution. I want to acknowledge, as I have been so justly acknowledged, by the leaders in this community, our great. We have an embarrassment of riches here in Delaware in terms of our leaders here that many of us can look up to and be inspired by. And I certainly want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for being here on behalf of the state. Thank you for those remarks. I certainly want to acknowledge the mayor as well. I'm aging gracefully, Mayor, so don't begrudge me that. It's genetics. I certainly want to acknowledge my friend, Senator Darius Brown, for his remarks and his affinity for black and gold. Inside joke. Certainly want to acknowledge the county executive. You know, I really should have had more of a role in the planning this, because as appreciative as I am of Wali Rushdan Day, that blows me away. We could have just coordinated a little better for tomorrow when my birthday is, because that would have been just unbelievable. Notwithstanding the unbelievable nature of that already. So thank you so very much. I certainly want to acknowledge our City Council President, Hanifa Shabazz. Thank you so much for those wonderful, wonderful remarks. And I want to make sure I am not forgetting anyone. So many people, and Bonnie Wu, who gave me an opportunity on behalf of Senator Carper's office. Thank you so much for those wonderful reflections about our time together working for Senator Carper. There's other leaders in this room. I'd be here all day talking about them, but I certainly acknowledge the police chief and others. I'm going to stop right there. Okay, no, I'm not. I want to state representatives Cook and State Representative Minor Brown, and I also acknowledge Superintendent Colonial School District, Jeff Minzer. Done. I do also want to acknowledge, though, the members of the community that are here, certainly my mentors. I want to talk a little bit about mentoring through my limited remarks, and certainly I really appreciate the support of those folks who are pouring into me professionally. I didn't meet a lawyer until I went to law school. I had dreams of who I wanted to be that weren't substantiated by anything that I could anchor in my present reality. It was all possibility. But I've been the beneficiary of great people who've believed in me at every single stage of my development, and certainly now at my current firm, Fox Rothschild, where I'm learning to be a world-class attorney from some of the greatest attorneys in the world. And a few of them are here today, so I want to acknowledge those attorneys. I'll name them by name. I'm being honored, right? I can take these privileges. Greg Williams, certainly, Jim Clark, Michael Isaacs, and the former chair of Fox Rothschild, Abe Rich, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I want to acknowledge, again, members of the community, other mentors, my family, who is here today to support me. Some of my mentees are here. My fraternity brothers are here. This is a true representation of the people who have made it possible for a day like this to happen. But I certainly want to now focus my attention on these students who are here, which Dean Goldstein properly focused on. And Dean Goldstein, though, I do have to take a moment and just say how special you are to me. You're a fabulous treasure. You really are. And you always believed in me. You always believed in me. And everyone deserves a mentor like that. Not someone who sees you for your present, but someone who holds you accountable to who you can be. So therefore, that mentor has to have a vision for you, right? To be better, to hold you accountable to higher circumstances. And that's what she did for me. She knew that I had more. And I'm proud to say I got there eventually. And I'm still reaching for it. I also do want to take one more moment to acknowledge Steve Atchley, who couldn't be here today, who was another extremely important educator to my development, who, like Dean Goldstein, had a similar investment and interest in me. Have no reason, I don't know why, but he took to me and he was interested in me and he pushed me to be better. So now to the students. You heard a lot of really awesome things about me. You heard about accomplishments and achievements, which you may be thinking to yourself, how does that connect with me, where I'm at today? So I'm not going to talk about any more success. I'm going to talk about struggle. See, my mother and father, and I'm going to do this by telling a little bit about my background. My mother and father fell in love in the early 80s and started a family together in Chester, Pennsylvania. Neither were college educated, neither from wealth, but they were rich in work ethic, family values, and an unapologetic love and respect for their history and their culture. I was the beneficiary of these values, but still impacted by the chaos and the mediocrity and the dysfunction of the community in which I lived. So sure, I was fortunate because I learned about the great Thurgood Marshall in my household. I knew that there were models out there. I knew about his rich legacy on our country, but it didn't seem real to me. So while I was being reaffirmed at home, the inconsistency in which I was living led me to question the future that I had envisioned for myself, that I was actually worthy of a career in the law. And at times it seems like it was just a dream. And even 20 years ago, when I first enrolled at Delaware Tech, I couldn't have imagined a day like today. So when I first learned about the decision to honor me, at my core, I'm still that kid walking from the east side of Sun Village in Chester, Pennsylvania, trying to focus on getting to school and staying away from trouble. So I was profoundly humbled, and particularly when I learned about the greats of our community who have been honored in this very event in prior years. It blew me away. Some of whom are here today. Ted Blunt. People who are giants in my eyes. The Brigadier General. People who have paved the way for me. And it hit me that now my name based on the infinite wisdom of the selection committee, is now going to be forever mentioned with theirs. So many of us have heard that you are judged by the company that you keep, right? Well, I'm proud for anyone to cast judgment on me by virtue of that company for the rest of my life. But I had to continue to think about why I was deserving of this honor. And it prompted a lot of reflection on my part about why, for Black History Month program for my alma mater at the great Delaware Technical and Community College, why I fit in. And when I thought about Black history and I thought about what it meant, a few phrases popped into my head, but succinctly put, the one that stuck was the phrase progress through struggle. Progress through struggle. That is, few words can succinctly and effectively describe the African American experience, particularly in this country. And I began to think not only about my progress, but the struggles, the things that allowed me to make progress, right? It's not a linear journey. Please be aware, students, it is not a linear journey. Sometime your journey is going to take some zigs and it's going to take some zags. And as Dean Goldstein alluded to, when I was a student at Delaware Technical Community College, I was working almost full time to put myself through school. I did have some help through some great programs that were in place at the time, but I did have to burden some of the financial burden. I also didn't have a vehicle, and I didn't live in the city at the time. I lived in Newcastle, in an area that was just inconveniently placed for the bus routes. So that meant that I had to take 2 buses in order to get to class in the morning. So imagine what time you got to get up to make the 9 a.m. class. You got to coordinate the bus schedules, which don't necessarily run on my time. And I can't say that at the time I was applying myself the way that I should have. So I made excuses. Oh, this is so tough. Oh, I don't have anybody to show me how to do this or do that because I don't have any college graduates in my family, right? Rationale for not applying what I had in me, that the people around me saw in me, right? All kinds of reasons why, okay? So guess what? I hit what I would fairly say is the lowest point in my life thus far. This person who stands before you, who you heard all these wonderful things about, the same person who dreamed about becoming an attorney so he could move the needle for the story of his family, I was now about to get academically forever removed from Delaware Technical and Community College. And I just want to be clear to you all, I fancied myself a Harvard, going to Harvard. As a matter of fact, it was Penn. When I was younger, I wanted to go to Penn, right? Chester kid. Here I am, about to fail out of community college. Time slowed down, and I started to go into a deep thought process. And for the first time in my life, the person who I thought I was and the person that I was actually being met themselves for the first time in my adult life. Again, I thought in my mind that I was capable of the success that I dreamed of. But my actions, which I was solely in control of, were the reason for my lack of success. And from that moment, that embarrassment That realization that this work that I'm doing, money's going down the drain. What am I doing these double shifts for at the local restaurant? I'm going to have to take these classes again. What am I doing? I'm wasting my talent. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting the sacrifice that my parents made for me, that you heard about, to move me here, to give me an opportunity for my life. I'm wasting the benefit of the examples that I have been taught about. The Marcus Garveys, the Lewis Reddings, the Thurgood Marshalls. I knew who these people were. So why wasn't I living up to what I knew I was capable of? And in that moment, I committed myself that I would never show up for any other thing in life without giving it my best. And if I gave it my best and I could look myself in the mirror at the end of the day and say I gave it my best, I would be satisfied with that. And guess what happened? Dean's List. Dean's List. Dean's List. Failing, Dean's List. It had nothing to do with ability. It had everything to do with motivation and was I ready to show up? Now, some of you heard me talk a little bit about mentors and specific mentors that I had while I was here. I've been fortunate to have mentors in from a number of different sources over the years. I see Johnny Burton sitting over there from the University of Delaware. Well, he was formerly at the University of Delaware when I first met him. When I graduated from Delaware Tech and was trying to find a way now I had to pay this bill, Johnny Burton said, "Young man, if you show me you're serious about your academic achievement, I'll find a way to keep you in University of Delaware." And he honored his word. See, when you're doing what you're supposed to do, people show up. They show up. But you can't expect people to show up if you don't take care of what you need to take care of. It's a partnership. Now, legacy is the last point I want to talk about. The great Maya Angelou said, "You can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been." And really, today is about an appreciation of the culture that has informed my thinking, my confidence about what's possible for my life. Because, see, the evidence of a thing being accomplished is proof that you can rely upon that it's possible. So, history, when you really understand history, when you avail yourselves of history, history is instructive of what's possible because it's been done. So, today, when I think about the amazing people who are pillars of this community, some of which who have been honored, some of which whose names all of us know, some we don't. And that's what I want to leave you all with today. People made history throughout time who made a difference. Their names might not be in the history books, but their contributions were critical. And maybe the work that you do will make history, written history as well. Maybe it won't. But the work that you do, if you apply yourself, you can transform the circumstances of your family. You made history. Because you put in motion important changes. And I just want to say again, today is like a dream. It is an accountability measure because there is so much more that I have to do. And I'm inspired by it. I'm inspired by the people who are going to hold me accountable. And I just thank you all so very much. This is a day I will never forget. And Black history is every day. Thank you.
Don't go very far.
Oh, well, okay, okay.
Well deserved, as we probably can all say, I'm sure. And of course, we thank you for your contribution and your commitment to education and all of your contributions to the community. So I'd like to invite up the college president and the vice president campus director so that we can present you with an award. And we're actually going to go over. Thanks for coming back. Yeah. We're going to actually walk over there too. Well, once again, let's please acknowledge Mr. Wali Rushdan as Delaware Tech's 2020 Black History Month honoree. Wali, clearly your family and friends adore you. Your Delaware Tech family is so proud of you, as are the City of Wilmington, Newcastle County, the Colonial School District, and the state of Delaware. And we look to you to continue to inspire youth and children and students as you continue your career. Thank you so much for being here, and I'd like to invite everyone to join us in the back of the room for refreshments. We invite you to have some fellowship and photo opportunities with our honoree, and remember that Black History Month is American history throughout the year. So congratulations, Wali, and happy birthday, right?